Coming up on Conformed to Transformed.
You got to acknowledge the pain.
Oh, yeah.
You have to know that it's there. Many times throughout my life, I've been a stick my head in the sand guy, especially whenever it came to my drinking.
Yes.
It's a, hey, the sky's falling, and I was just like, nothing to see, nothing to hear here, and you just ignore things, just flat out, they don't exist to you. That's going to fail here. You got to acknowledge the pain, and you got to know that it's real. Hey, good day to all of our Conformed to Transformed followers. Hope that you guys are doing good. This is kind of weird as we're recording this on a Tuesday. It always makes jokes, we always make jokes talking about Tuesdays, and here we are. It is Tuesday and we're recording, and so we are now on episode 25, and we are titling this one today, Pain into Purpose, which hits home for us so much right now. And so if you are watching this right now, we would encourage you to click on like and subscribe at the button underneath right there. We're putting out all sorts of new stuff all of the time. We've really ramped it up this summer, and so we're excited to share those kind of things with you. So anyway, I guess with that being said, Krista, how is your weekend / early week going?
It is going really well. It's the last week of my summer break.
I know, exactly. It is. Don't be sad.
No,
Don't be
I
sad.
know,
It must be
I
really hard
know.
coming off a 2-month vacation. I don't know how I'd handle that.
Hey, you know what? When people come at me with that, I just tell them I can't. It's not my fault I chose the right career.
Exactly. If you like that, come apply.
Come apply. We got openings.
I have a feeling, they're probably hiring for teachers pretty much all over the country. I feel like there's openings.
Yeah.
Yes, I should say. So this Pain into Purpose definitely hits home with you, with everything that we've been going through over these last couple of weeks. And you and I, I feel like that we're in a spot to where we realize that God is growing us through these things.
Absolutely.
And we're actually smart enough to know that now. And so a couple years ago, anytime, and still, we're humans, we still do it today, but whenever bad things happen or whenever we see what we would call a setback, I think we're a lot better at stepping back, looking at the entire situation and just being like, okay, God's doing something. What's he doing? Instead of, well, God must be mad at me today. This sucks. And then just waiting.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You look at it from a different perspective. You look at it from a different viewpoint. Kind of plugging Romans 12:2. Again, always will. But that's really what we're going to be talking about today is what do you do whenever you have these things that happen to you in life that are going to happen? How do you have the ability and the wherewithal to seek God in that and be like, okay, this stinks, but you're going to do something with it. Put me in. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, that was a super long opening. Sorry about that. Kind of hijacked you there, but what are your thoughts?
Well, yeah. Have you ever been in a situation where you've asked God, why me?
Oh, yeah.
And it feels so unbearable that you're just like, really, God, why me?
Yeah, why am I going through this and X is not? Yeah, exactly. Go ahead and, I don't know, if you got any good stories that we really just haven't beaten to death yet. You can talk about your journey here and just how frustrating it is with your stiff person syndrome situation going on.
Yeah.
I'm watching, I live and breathe it. You guys don't see it. You just see her on camera, but I see her walking around and it's tough.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest examples I have, I'm going to share an example of a why me moment before Christ. And that means before I turned my life back over to Christ. And then compare it to a why me moment after I turned my life over to Christ, because I think that those are two different things.
Yeah.
Okay? So a why me moment before I turned my life back over to Christ was when you were just getting sober and you lost your job.
Yeah.
And
like 6 days after. Pretty wild.
And I couldn't even really, God, I have just gone through hell on earth with my husband and being an addict and everything that brought. And now we're going back to church. We're trying to mend this marriage because it was really broken at the time. And you lost your job.
Yeah, you're right. We were doing the right thing. Yeah, so the place I used to work, they did company-wide layoffs. There was 8 of us that day, and it was a week after I decided to do that. So I'm feeling all victorious, like I'm going to tackle this, I'm going to get it, and then laid off. And so if you remember that conversation that I had with you, I was actually sitting outside my doctor's office whenever that happened. I had that meeting, then I had to go to an appointment that very same day. Because not too long before that, I was diagnosed with the type 1 diabetes. So I had my very first ever 6-month checkup. And I remember calling you and telling you, and I'm telling you, I had a piece that was absolutely crazy. But you weren't there yet. And so those 7 months after that, it was really, really, really rough. That was hard on us.
Right.
And I don't think... We knew that God had us, I know, but the level of faith, nowhere near what it is, right? Completely night and day difference, right? And so, like we're in a bad spot.
And then when we look back, we know without a shadow of a doubt that time, first of all, God provided by the skin of our teeth that entire time.
I'd have no idea how that happened, looking back.
But I also know that it was, the purpose of it was so that you would have time to just drown yourself in Him, which was imperative for you to come out on the other side of the addiction.
It was,
and we know that now looking back, but at that time, of course, especially me, I was like, really? Why me? Why?
Yeah.
Why? So that was a moment before Christ. I can say, now I can compare to what we're going through right now as far as my health, and there's just some other things going on that we're not ready to share publicly yet, but that are going on. And the difference now is I know that God has a plan for it, because my God is not a cruel God. He's not cruel. So, and my mom, shout out to my mom, very grounded in her beliefs. She's been a Christian her whole life.
Great ally.
Great person to have in your corner. Very wise. And she reminded me, she said, Krista, there's no way that you just got diagnosed with this and then a week later this other thing is happening to you unless God has a very big purpose in it, because God is not that cruel. And she's absolutely right. And so being able to accept the things that seem unbearable, because some of it's, I'm not saying that some of it doesn't seem unbearable. It's still very unbearable to me that I can't, that my walking's not perfect. I still can't walk around the block yet. I'm hoping that I get there, but I'm not there yet. And the other things that we can't talk about right now, do they seem unbearable? Of course. Do they bring up like anxiety? Of course. But the difference is that I know at the end that there's going to be a purpose, and that I will eventually know what that purpose is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, that's super good. And one of the points of this entire episode here is that if you're going through that as well, we hope that we're going to be able to help you out and just gain a deeper perspective as to exactly what's going on. So maybe if you're going through something, you can approach it a little bit differently as well.
Yeah.
And so that brings us to one of our main points here. And so something I want to talk about, do you remember I just said a little bit ago that we were observant of it, we knew it was happening. So number one, you got to acknowledge the pain. You have to know that it's there. Many times throughout my life, I've been a stick my head in the sand guy, especially whenever it came to my drinking. It's a, hey, the sky's falling, and I was just like, nothing to see, nothing to hear here, and you just ignore things, just flat out, they don't exist to you. That's going to fail here. You got to acknowledge the pain, and you got to know that it's real, that it's raw. You mentioned the why me thing. Sometimes it's unfair. It's completely unfair. All that I know is that we are human beings, and I'm getting smarter at this, as realizing that we are nowhere near as smart as we think that we are. And so God has plans. God has His ways that we cannot understand. His ways are much higher. which is going to get into our theme verse here in just a little bit, which I absolutely love the book of Isaiah. It is so powerful. I was just telling Kristen, when we get done with this 40-day challenge thing here, I think I'm going to do a deep dive into Isaiah with like 5 to 10 minute videos of just going through the whole thing and just diving in.
Right.
Isaiah's awesome. I just love that book, full of so many things. But, before I get sidetracked, what's a good example? I mean, Jesus suffered. Like, give me a good example of when Jesus suffered.
Oh my goodness. I think the scene in The Chosen depicts it very, very well. The night before he knew that he was going to be arrested, like he knew, and he's alone.
Gethsemane?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and he's just, does God do this? Do I really have to do this?
And all his friends fell asleep.
Yeah, and he's just pleading, and that's what comes to my mind the
Yeah.
most, because I can't even imagine that kind of anguish. Like, we haven't even come close to experiencing anything quite like that.
No.
You know what I mean?
Not at all.
So,
No.
And so even he chose to lean into God during those times. So
Right.
if Jesus has to lean into God during his anguish, don't you think we need to?
Yeah, no doubt. And it just brings
Right.
up a really good point. If you think about this from a different angle, what this is telling us is that God is completely cool with us bringing our problems to him and
He
talking to
wants
him.
us
And he
to.
wants us to. And right around the time my recovery was getting started, Krista, if you remember, like I was cussing at God. I was yelling at God. Next day I was loving him. And I know that sounds kind of crazy and like, oh, blasphemous. But you know what? I was having real, honest, raw relationship conversations with God that I think that he respects. And it also shows that you are seeking his face and that you're looking towards him.
Yeah.
You can't be too real and raw with God, because here's the deal. Whatever you're holding in your heart, if you want to throw up a big middle finger to him, he knows that.
Yeah.
He knows your heart.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really, just be open and honest about it. Nothing is off limits. I feel like sometimes when people start admitting things to God, they leave things out because they're embarrassed.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Like,
Right.
that just proves how dumb we are as
No,
humans
yeah.
again, right? So
And when we say lean into him, we don't to let him know your anger. That's different than turning your back on him.
it's the opposite.
Right. I just want to say that because I turned my back on him when my first marriage fell apart, because I went through a lot, and I had tried a lot of things to make that marriage work to my wits' end. Like I wanted that marriage. I did not want my family torn apart. And I became very bitter and angry at God for a very, very long time. And I grew. There's a reason. That's part of my testimony, So I know the purpose of it now, but it doesn't mean that it made it any easier at the time. And I got and how different things could have looked if I leaned into God instead of turning my back on God, right? Things would have looked a lot differently.
Yeah, but it happened the way that it was supposed to.
Right.
And that's just one of those things that we can't see. And so
Right.
that's one of the beautiful things about this verse in Isaiah. Something that I talk about all of the time is that we just see a snapshot of things. Let's go back to the example of your first marriage falling apart. Mm-hmm. You just saw a snapshot of things that was happening. God sees the whole picture.
Right.
God knew what was going to happen 15, 20 years down the road, and that the lives that you were going to touch and the impact that you were going to have. And I feel like the reason that some of these things keep happening to us is because that God trusts us to handle them and to handle them with grace, to where in the end he gets the glory for it.
Right.
I hope that makes sense. And so, I'm going to go ahead and read Isaiah 55, 8 through 9 now, if you are cool with that. You mind if I read that?
Yeah.
I've actually got my old school Bible here, actual physical Bible. Feels nice. You don't really see these all that much anymore, but I'm going to be reading out of the book of Isaiah 55, verses 8 and 9. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. What that tells me is that he's living in a different dimension. Like, he is seeing things that we just cannot understand. Take for example, like if you got a little kid and they're standing like by a stove and they see that stove and you're like, don't do, but all they see is this big, bright, fun, hot thing that has colors and all of that. You have more of an understanding. Your ways are higher than theirs. Your thinking is higher than theirs. And then they go over and then they touch it and then you're like, told you, right? That's a good way that you can equate it, I guess, in human levels, because we as humans, we can't see other dimensions. It's really, really hard to explain a fourth or fifth dimension.
All right.
So to put it plainly, God's on another level.
Yep.
Is that fair to say?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're going through, what's it called? The story?
The story of...
Okay, talk about the story for just a second. Let's plug that for just a second.
Wow.
Shout out to these
so
guys.
I was going to start doing a few shorts on the story because I just feel like that's what I am going to be led to do, is just because it's just so powerful. The story takes the book of the Bible and it puts it into novel form is the best way that I can explain it.
Yeah.
And it's literally a page turner. Like I told Bryan, my mom got me a study guide to go with it, so I started reading it, and I didn't have my study guide upstairs when I started reading it, and I said, I don't want to read any further until I get the study guide up here, because I don't make a billion trips up and down the stairs every day because, guys, I have a walking problem. So I'm like, as soon as I get that study guide up here, I'm going to read some more of this. Like, I can't wait to do that. I'm very, I'm still at the Old Testament, of course, because I just started. But I can't wait to see how it progresses. And it's so, the part that's so interesting to me is how much we can, it relates to things that are happening in the world now. And it also makes it very clear what Jesus did for us. Because the God of the Old Testament, He allowed Jesus to come in and take a lot of that burden away from us. Praise Jesus. Because the God of the Old Testament, I don't know.
I feel like he wasn't playing around.
He was not playing around. He wasn't playing games. So Jesus took that part away. Praise Jesus.
He did for us what we can't do.
What we can't do.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
That's one thing about the Old Testament. I think with the Old Testament, its biggest thing is that it's just showing us how much that we need.
Yeah, and it's showing how much, and it's showing why God sent, why God sent Jesus to earth. He wanted to have a human experience.
Yeah.
So to see God before he had that human experience is pretty eye-opening. So I can't wait for the page turner to see how God changes. I mean, I know some of it, of course.
So
to see how he changes
here.
After the human experience, right?
Yes, indeed. And I'm going to read it whenever you're done.
Yeah.
So
good.
hopefully if you could just speed that up, that'd be great.
Right.
And so the reason I brought that up is because Joseph is another example of a guy that had unjust suffering for most of his life, like thrown into jail. His brothers betrayed him.
Yes, he absolutely did.
So whenever his brothers finally see him, whenever they finally meet up with him, I can't remember how many years later that it was, but his brothers finally realized that, like, hey, that's Joseph. Like, that's the guy that probably he has every right and reason to murder us.
And the way that God had Joseph do it, oh wow! I mean, it's just.
It was a God story, for sure. It's the same thing he does today. It's just old school. Yeah,
They don't. Joseph, they think that Joseph's a slave somewhere, and he was for a little bit, but then he inherits. He inherits what?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, but he
inherits a lot. Yeah, so God hooked him up,
and then
that's an example of you not knowing.
His brothers have to come because the land is famished, but Joseph's land has food. So the brothers have to come to him, and they don't even recognize him. Yep. Just to create. I mean, come on now.
Years later, I'm sure.
They don't recognize him. They don't know that they're going to their brother for this food, but he knows. Joseph knows, and so it's just crazy.
Yes.
You got. Man.
Well, I said all that to say this, is that whenever the brothers were like, oh my gosh, she's going to kill us, please have mercy on us, yada yada, what he says in Genesis chapter 50, the very end of Genesis, by the way, he says, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. Yeah. And you know why he did that? He had that perspective. That is how he was looking at it. Joseph could have easily hated God and been bitter and been like, what did I ever do to you? He just could have taken that posture like so many people do. Yeah. And so, I mean, he just said, you intended to harm me, but God meant it for good. And I've met people like that in real life too. It just blows your mind. Like when people are nice to you for no reason, that raises red flags, and it shouldn't, right? Like if somebody's just being overly nice and you're just like, no, it's no big deal. I understand like this suffering is going to produce something good. Just like when I was going through my unemployment stint a couple of years ago, is that it would drive you absolutely crazy. And most definitely, because I'd be like, God's using it for good. I don't know what it is yet. And she's like, we have bills, you dummy. And I was like, yeah, I kind of get that too. And so there was a fine line there. Most definitely a catch-22. But my point is God uses these hardships and these sufferings to build character. If I didn't go through with what I went through, if we didn't go through with what our marriage, we would not be doing this right now. There's no telling what we're doing. And I can tell you, God is using this for good. We have many stories, and we're kind of just getting started with this here, being instruments of the Lord and doing whatever He calls us to do and wants us to do. And we are seeing some wide open fields and opportunities right in front of us that we are jumping on, because I think God's blessing us with that. We're ready. We've been obedient, and we have just been waiting and waiting on God's timing. My patience has gotten better. If you meet me in real life, you would think that that's probably not true, but if you met me a year or two ago, it is a lot better. I'm still working on it, but waiting on God is the hardest.
That's the thing. That's what I was going to say is like there's growing pains, of course, and there's going to continue to be growing pains. That's please don't stop giving growing pains, Lord, because I'm never going. I just want to be more and more like Jesus, which I never will be here on earth. So I'm going to continue. I want to continue to have those growing pains so I can be as much like Jesus as I can.
Yeah.
Right?
Like I get excited now whenever trials come because I know He's going to use it to make me a better person. Like that's the way I look at it now. I don't look at it as why me. I'm like, hey, you're about to fortify me. I'm about to get stronger.
Yeah.
It's just like going to the gym. If you blast your arms and like you can barely even move them and they're sore coming back, they're sore because you're building something bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
My physical therapist and I have to see him 3 times a week now.
They're friends.
Yeah. So, we talk about the difference. Is it a good sore or is it a bad sore? A good sore is like after you work out, that sore that you know you've worked your muscles very well. A bad sore would be like, my back spasming too much or something.
Your
after
arm's
that.
broken or whatever.
Right. So
that's a bad sore.
There's with God, you have the good sore through the growing pains, not
nice.
The bad sore through the
that.
growing pains.
Nice. Very, very tricky. Good wordplay right there. Yeah, so I just want to reiterate one more time. Yeah, it sure does. Yep, she does that. God uses suffering to help you grow. Get that into your head, get that into your brain, live that out today. And whenever you do that, just like Romans chapter 5 tells us, I think in verses 3 through 5, that kind of suffering, that produces perseverance, character, and hope. If you read that, I love that chapter, by the way. Go read that, Romans 5. It talks about how one thing stacks up on top of another, all the while making you pretty much a Christian ninja. Like, that's the goal. The Bible does not say that, by the way, so do not twist my words. The word ninja is nowhere in the Bible.
It's not?
Nope. Not now. Who knows what translations will come down the road. I would be surprised in 50 years if the word ninja's in the Bible like 80 times.
Right.
But,
just depends on what your model of ChatGPT is going to be.
Right. Yep. So then once you have that down and you're observant of it, and you finally realize that, hey, there's a reason. There's a reason here. Then you start digging into like, what is that purpose? Okay, now that I know that I'm hurting, it's okay. God's still with me. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Once you solidify that, then what? And so you can look at this purpose of it. Suffering is like refining a fire. And 1 Peter 1, 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 6 and 7, I can turn to that again, just right here. Real quick, I say again, I'm reading it for the first time, obviously. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 6. In this you rejoice, though now for a little while, if necessary, you have been grieved by various trials, so that the tested genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ.
Oh, what's crazy about this reminds me of is in the Old Testament, who was it? You would probably know. I just read it in the story, but I just can't remember who exactly it was. God tested him by he was going to bring his son.
Oh, Abraham.
Yeah,
Isaac. Little Isaac.
Yeah. And he was
not my friend Isaac,
even tied him up on the altar, like ready to sacrifice his son.
He's ready to roll.
And God stopped him right before he had to sacrifice his son and said, I was testing your faith, you passed, basically.
Yeah. He proved it. I mean, it's just, I don't even know where to go with that, really. I mean, that's what God does.
Yeah.
He takes these trials, whenever you're like, all of the time, whenever you're just thinking, God, I don't know what you're doing, if you can just rest in the fact that you don't know what he's doing and that's okay, that is a beautiful spot to be at. What a terrible spot to be is I don't know what you're doing and I kind of don't want to do this anymore. Then you make it a lot worse.
Right. Then you do, I mean, it's
then
the
you start
why
getting
me.
outside of his will. Then you get into the
Yeah.
why me. Then you're depressed and nobody wants to hang out with you. Nobody likes listening to you cry, no matter what your friends tell you.
Right.
Nobody's, I mean, it's like, life starts going downhill. Let's just say that, right? And so, I guess I'm trying to think, when's a good time that you were refined by fire? But I think we've already told these stories over and over and over again. Is there a recent time that you can think of? Actually, keep that in your head. When it comes to you, let me know. I don't want to put you on the spot right now.
Okay.
Think of a time that you were refined by fire. Could even be at work. I can think of a couple examples of you at your job that you did this. Or it's just the way that you've come out of your shell over the last 2 or 3 months. I can see God working in you all of the time. You are changing all the time. You're getting more bold. You're living into your calling a lot more instead of just being the scared little sheep that just doesn't really say much and just trying to be a good Christian wife.
Right.
Like, you're bold and you know that you got God on your side and you got some life stories.
Yeah,
So,
I do.
so I'd like to ask you, those of you that are listening here, what is God teaching or preparing you for through whatever that you're going through? And you may not know what that is. And again, that's okay. You know what I'm saying? So if you're in that spot, which we've all been there, I kind of am right now.
We are.
Can't give too many details at the moment.
We can't. I mean,
Maybe a week from
There's
now.
obviously my health, and there's other things.
There's just
that
some
are-
other. There's some other stuff.
Just literally, like I said, we know that God. We have that faith in God
Yeah.
because God's not cruel. That's how deep it is.
Well, you never know what he's doing though.
Right,
So
you never
I'm
know.
not going to go that. I mean, other stupid stuff could happen. So
Right.
you know,
Right. Oh no,
just-
I'm not
right,
challenging
yeah.
anything.
Let me take you back to the story.
Childlike faith.
Yeah, let me take you back to the story of Job. So at the very beginning of that, his house gets firebombed, and he's like, well, it can't get worse than this. Then his kids get killed. Oh, it can't get worse than this. All of his livestock gets killed. Oh, it can't get worse than this. His body turns into a boil machine.
All right.
And so, when you think it can't get worse, you just never know. But
No.
completely different, obviously. That doesn't ruin the point that you're trying to make.
No.
But I do want to let you know that you never know with God, and the whole point is to build that faith up and to just grow closer to Him, right? And so that's really all that I wanted to touch, at least on that part of it. Did you have anything else to add? Do you want to
No,
tell me
I
a
just tell my
time?
joke. Sometimes I joke with Bryan, and I'm like, if I, this is not biblical at all. This is totally a joke.
Oh boy.
But if I had
Rated R.
already been in heaven once because of a previous life or something, I go, I must have lost a bet with Jesus or something because this has been crazy.
Come back
I
and
don't know
do
how
this.
to
Yeah.
explain what my life has been besides crazy, and I lost some kind of bet. But that's really not it. It's just that God, like Bryan said earlier, God trusts me enough to have gone through the suffering that I have to be able to use it to have that faith and win others to Him. And that is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, it is. It's so cool.
When you change your perspective to that, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And what it really gets you is when you realize that the God of the entire universe, the same God of Jacob and Joseph that you're reading about, is the same one that's talking to you all day, every day. Same dude.
Same guy.
Same God. I don't think we understand that. Like, I don't think we can really comprehend that. Because if we did, it would, Keanu's went.
Right.
Mind blown. And so, let's just go ahead and move on here. And so with all that being said, you recognize it. You realize that you're being refined by fire. And then try to, it's hard to do it in the middle of it, get excited about that hope beyond the suffering. Because you know how the story ends eventually. When you're in it, it sucks. But whenever you get out of it, you know that you're going to get out of it at some point. Even if it takes you dying on this earthly plane to get past it, your end prize is uncomparable.
Exactly.
Uncomparable.
And that's the key.
Yes. And so
that's the key.
That's right. Yeah. And do I have this one queued up too? I don't, but let's see. I can just read it off my screen here. Romans 8:18 tells us something really cool here, is that the sufferings of the present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed. Let me say that again. the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed. In other words, he's saying it doesn't even make any sense even talking about it because you can't compare it. It makes no sense. So if you're sitting there wallowing in the woe is me thing, get out of it. You're wasting your time, and you're wasting everybody else's time around you. Get out of it. If you look up, you can get up. Pray to God. Know that he's doing something in you, and ask him what he wants you to do next. If you're still confused, if you're still hurt, call somebody up. Say, will you please pray for me? Shoot them a text. If you don't have any friends, message us. If you don't have any family, text us, call us, message us. I promise you, somebody out there will pray with you and for you. You gotta change the way that you approach the outcome of this instead of just laying down. Don't lay down. God's looking for people to get up. And be a person that gets up. Okay? There's just nothing to compare it to.
No,
the reward is amazing.
No.
Go ahead.
No, the whole idea is not to look behind you. You're looking ahead of you. And the whole purpose of today is to live for eternity. It's not to live for what's on earth.
You may not know this, but shout out to the Day 25 challenge this morning that is exactly that.
Really?
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't even watched it.
No, I know you haven't. And this is episode 25, by the way. Apparently 25 is the number today.
Yeah. So your job is to be focused on eternity. And when you change your mind shift to being focused on eternity and not your day-to-day, then the suffering gets smaller.
It does. It becomes more bearable.
It doesn't go away.
Right.
We don't want to say that. It just gets smaller.
But you know there's a purpose.
This isn't the end.
Right, you know there's a purpose.
My end is in eternity. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's about. And my second thing with that is God is writing your story. Quit trying to steal the pen.
You're just going to trademark that so you can feel it.
It's already something that people love.
I know. You plug that in quite often. I love it. It's pretty good. And so just drill this into your head. By the way, I've got you talking about mindset. That makes me a very happy husband. Anyway, suffering is temporary, but God's purpose is eternal. Okay? It is so short-lived, y'all. I mean, surely we've all been through stuff that seemed like the worst thing in the world, and then a month later you look back and you're like, I cried about that? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you'll get past it. I promise you.
I will tell you, even the difference in between, and last year we were believers last year at this time of the year. But even the difference between last year, this is always a stressful time of the year for me because back to school is a very stressful time.
Her brain starts breaking.
Time. Kids are going back to school. I'm going back to school. It's a stressful time. So even the difference between last year and the stresses that I had and facing them and this year and how much I've grown in my faith this year with the added thing, I have added stress going back to school this year than I did last year with my health, with some other things that are going on. I am at more peace going back to school this year with those added things than I was last year because my faith has grown.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, you're definitely more well equipped. And I can tell just pretty much in you, just, stress levels, the things that you can actually tackle, things that used to make you melt down don't make you melt down anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're just getting smarter. We're getting better. And all of these things that we're talking about, us getting smarter and better with this is all biblical. This is all following him and seeking him in the decisions that you make and just pretty much everything that you do. It equips you. You're growing. It's such a fun thing to see. I don't know. I'm just so excited to just be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Indeed. All right. Well, we're going to start winding this down and getting close to wrapping it up, but I don't want to do that without giving you guys some actionable steps here, some real life practical things that you can take with you and use to start going through some of this growth and being able to, I don't want to say absorb the suffering. I mean, that sounds like that, dude. But just facing it head on, you know what I mean? Right. In the way that you need to. And know that you have a support system. I find that people start falling apart and it starts getting really weird when they try doing this on their own. You're not supposed to do this alone. Man was not meant to be alone. God said that in the very first book of the Bible. And so, you just gotta definitely just rest on that.
Absolutely. So. Absolutely.
Just stop for a few. I can't do this with kids. No, you're fine. I can't believe you're back already.
I told her to send out.
Jeez, was that her that walked up the stairs? Yeah. Oh, I thought Chloe came home early or something. We can cut this part of us talking out. Okay. I can't even remember what you said last to you. Okay.
Okay. So our challenge for you this week. We have a challenge for you this week. Ask God to reveal one small way He is using your current challenge for His glory. Try to figure it out. You might not be able to figure out. Pray about it, dig into the Word, and maybe He'll reveal it. And even if He doesn't, just have that childlike faith that there's going to be good that comes out of it. Because looking back, all of the times that I have suffered, He has turned into good.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And
Okay.
He always will. That's what Romans 8:28 tells us, is that He works all things for the good. He is not saying that everything that happens to you is good. He is saying that everything that does happen will get turned into good at some point.
Yeah.
And what that point is, quite frankly, not our business.
It's
honestly.
not our business.
And He invites us to be in that business, but it is not our job to just point and just like critique doing what He's doing, because His ways are higher than our ways. His understanding is more than our understanding. So something else along with that actionable item right there, I would just encourage you, just like we do in our challenge that we're doing right now, is memorize scripture. Just memorize that scripture. I will throw another spoiler alert out here. I've been talking about this for over a year, but my book is almost done, and that thing is packed full with strategies and tips, especially on memorizing scripture, and how big of a game changer that was for me. It's a game changer for anybody, no matter what you're going through, not just this topic. And so, I just want to offer this out there. Krista and I would be glad. We're going to be praying for our audience, and because no matter what, whenever we go up to people and we're like, how can we be praying for you? What's going on in your life? Every single person that very rarely does somebody say that life is perfect. Almost everybody you know is going through something. They're going through something, and they need your prayer. They need your support. So just be that helping hand. You know what I mean? Memorize Romans 8:28 this week. Like, that just came to me. Like, get that in your head. The fact that all of these things that happen to you, God does work them out for the good. You can be sure of that. And so there is one final quote that we kind of whipped up here for this thing, and it's behind us here. Krista, do you want to close us out with that awesome quote? Because I do love it. Go ahead.
God never wastes your pain. It's in the soil where His purpose takes root.
That's right. No, that is
Ooh.
really, really good. It's like
That just gave me chills.
I love it. Yeah. So like whenever you look at a plant or something, like nothing's there. It's like the bamboo story as well. Just because you can't see what's going on underneath it, there's a whole bunch of stuff cooking, and then when it sprouts, it sprouts. So anyway, just want to thank you guys.
We've seen it. We are living it. This whole ministry is a testimony to it. We've seen it, guys, and we're going to continue to see it.
Indeed.
So there you go.
Yep, that's very, very good. All right, again, so we just thank you so much for watching. We do invite you to like and subscribe one more time. We have a lot of stuff. This is our 25th episode, so lots to go back and watch. We're getting better at this as we go. I mean, I'll be real, we've had some episodes that are pretty shaky, audio issues, but we do not have professional production people. We do not have any of this. I am in IT, have been for a while, done some video production. These are getting better and better, I feel like. So hopefully the sound's good, hopefully the quality is good, and that you can bear with any sort of technical issues that you may have seen along the way. We love sharing in this with you guys. We love hanging out with you, and we cannot wait to hang out with you for episode 26, which will be sometime within a week. In the meantime, feel free to reach out to us. Keep watching this 40-day challenge. Tomorrow's day 26. We got 15 days left in that, 2 weeks left starting tomorrow, and then I think we're going to pick up another challenge. I don't know how many days. We're going to do a deep dive into the book of Isaiah. So we love you guys, and we'll see you later.